Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Tom.
What are you reading?
Oh, I'm reading Marshal Law.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Kitten, this cat.
Being a real cat.
Yeah, she's been a real cat.
Being a
she's
real pile of cat.
Yeah, she's just like hanging out near my keyboard where she can easily stop the recording at any time. Just blankly staring.
Yeah, you should probably move her.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
I don't want to have to start the recording again because your cat presses the button.
Don't cut this from the edit. Kitten. Mm-hmm. Her anus is right near the...
Oh, yeah, get her to... maybe plug in another mic for her anus.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
I think having a cat's anus as a third host would be weirdly appropriate.
Yeah, kinda. My name is Dave.
My name is Tom.
And this is Tom and Dave read Marshal Law.
Oh, boy, do we.
Brought to you by MindFreak555. I don't know if I corrected this. Yeah, I think at some point I called Mindfreak Mind Freak, like Chris Angel.
It's an easy mistake to make. I'm sure Mindfreak gets it all the time. We apologize for making it, but also you kind of know that people are when you call yourself Mind Freak, you kind of know people are going to say Mind Freak from time to time. So
right when your parents name you Mind Freak from the 555 family.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just saying, own your responsibility in this as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So if people don't know what this is,
entirely possible.
It's weird that you're starting from episode 3 because this is episode 3. There are 2 other podcasts of this, and there's going to be 5 total.
All right.
So this is the halfway point.
2 more after this. Yeah.
Yep. It's a nice light mini-series because we're reading the entirety. I can't tell if this is all there is of Marshall. Well, there's spin-offs.
There's a lot of
comic book.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's a comic book called Marshal Law, and we're reading it.
Yeah, he's spread across many mini-series and one-shots from the 80s through the 90s and maybe into the aughts. I'm not entirely certain because it's a character I wasn't familiar with until we started this show. But in case for some reason you're starting with episode 3, Marshal Law is a parody comic superhero that's a parody of Judge Dredd. He's this hyper-violent vigilante that lives in a dystopian future where superheroes are shitbags, and he's basically the police for superheroes. It's kind of like The Boys. It's like The Boys and Judge Dredd.
Yeah,
it's very satirical. Very satirical.
Yeah, it feels almost ahead of its time.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, as someone who's not too plugged into comic books, I don't know. Maybe they were making 10 of these, but it's very satirical, and it's making a lot of the same comments on superheroes that The Boys does, and people like myself make. It's that thing where it's like superheroes have been around so long that the meta commentary is also old.
Right, and this shift in superhero comics specifically happened in the 80s with things like The Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, where it was like really getting gritty and really deconstructing them. And then Judge Dredd, of course, is already satirical. This is like satire upon satire, and it's not really. It's less of a direct satire of Judge Dredd, and it's more like taking a similar world and using it to satirize superhero comics.
Yeah, it honestly reminds me a lot of like the Venture Brothers, because it's
sure.
Like parody.
Well,
it's parody.
Their Human Torch character is literally the Venture Brothers character, which we're going to talk about him today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it because we read 2 issues. We read Marshal Law Takes Manhattan and Kingdom of the Blind, which are both parodies, direct parodies of different superheroes.
They were both one-shot comics released in 89, 90, like late 80s, early 90s.
Yep. The first one, I guess we'll just start there. Marshal Law Takes Manhattan. He's going after the Persecutor, which is very much the Punisher.
The Punisher, yeah.
And the Persecutor has been arrested and taken in, and he's going into, he's like applying to be in a mental institution.
Yes.
And the people in the mental institution is just the Avengers. It's all the same.
It's basically it's a storyline about the Punisher trying to join the Avengers and the Avengers turning him away because he's a violent maniac.
Specifically, he doesn't have powers.
He doesn't have powers. Yeah, that's the whole point. In this world, it's the Avenger. Like the Avengers Tower is an institution for deranged heroes, and they're rejecting his application. So it's neat that they're taking what has been explored as a storyline in Marvel Comics and doing like a parody of it within the world of martial law.
Yeah, and I really I enjoyed this one.
I really liked this one.
Yeah, it was straight out funny.
This is the funniest one so far. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so So the twist is that they don't really have superpowers, the Avengers.
Oh, they do. They're just
they do and they don't.
They're all. We don't need to recap it completely because if you're jumping in the middle, that's kind of on you. We covered it in the previous 2 episodes. But superheroes in this world are basically genetically engineered into being superheroes that work for the government, and a lot of them, the process is so brutal and intense that it drives a lot of them insane eventually. And
yeah, the implication here is that anybody with the superpowers naturally just goes mad.
Will eventually go mad. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even a chemical thing. It's like we aren't meant to have that ability.
I think it's both, but yeah.
Yeah. So like the idea that it's, again, what we've been playing with in The Boys, where it's like, it's this ego thing on top of everything else. So like you just start playing it more and more fast and loose, because if you're someone like Superman, you're like, well, what the fuck is anybody going to do about it?
Yeah.
Like I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, my limits are self-imposed. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. And so like I it is kind of a commentary on that idea.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Of the idea that like everybody needs law and order, and at least is the implication here, which I don't know I agree with, but
well, it's all a commentary on fascism, right? Because like superheroes, by a literal definition, are fascistic. So it's kind of taking that idea of it doesn't matter what entity you give complete power to. Nobody and nothing should have complete power.
Yeah,
it's that goofy. I mean, it's not a goofy ad. It's just a incredibly familiar one at this point, the absolute power one. But it's true, and that's just what this is. It's like, well, we can't. You shouldn't deify these institutions. You shouldn't give them all this power, because it's eventually it will corrupt. There's no way it can't end this way.
Right. The saying is absolute power corrupts Gene Hackman.
It corrupts Gene Hackman. Yeah, absolute power makes Gene Hackman murder a woman in the Oval Office, while Clint Eastwood is robbing him.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the Oval Office.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I was about to say, that would have been a real bold cat burglar breaking into the Oval Office.
Just to like steal just like random shit. Like just
like a pen, like a really a nice pen, but like a pen.
Yeah. And he gets like a lot of the pens. So
listen, he's breaking in, up. Dave. He's breaking in to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. No, that one is the President's secret book. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. We should watch that anyway.
Oh, we should watch that. Yeah. So you're right. It's less about law and order. It's definitely more about fascism, because they're doing everything under the idea of law and order. Of course, everything's getting worse because of them. Again, very much the commentary we do on superheroes. So in this case, they do have some powers, like the Spider-Man. So
I love
it has
Spider-Man in
powers.
this.
Yeah, he's like a weird pervert.
Yeah, he's a sexual exhibitionist who like can't
Right.
perform for his wife, so he goes around shooting his web fluid everywhere in like a BDSM outfit almost. It's not BDSM.
Yeah.
It's exhibitionist. Like he's mostly nude.
Right.
Just swinging around shooting his web fluid, and that seems to be all he's interested in doing. And if you notice,
He's not like fighting crime or anything.
I think he's the only one who doesn't die at the end. Like I think he gets
doesn't,
away.
yeah.
So, and I'm
spoilers.
secretly very pleased that Spider-Man escapes.
Yes.
Because he's just such a little freak.
Yeah. I like their Captain America where he's just kind of constantly internalizing
Right,
everything.
he's paralyzed by indecisiveness.
Yeah. Because everything's like this moral dilemma that he has to think
it's
through.
moral conundrum upon moral conundrum. It's very this comic is very funny.
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic is he's still stretching. His wife is a chair that he talks to.
His wife doesn't exist. Like of course,
his wife is
normally his wife is the Invisible Woman, but it quickly becomes clear that she's not actually there.
Right.
He's
An
talking to a
invisible
person
woman.
that's not there.
Yeah. Who are the other ones? There's an Aquaman.
There's an Aquaman who's just believes he's Aquaman. There's a Thor who just thinks he's Thor.
Right, and the idea is like none of them are mystical or magical.
No.
Oh yeah, there's a wizard as well. Who
Yeah, there's a
like,
Doctor Strange. Yeah, 100%.
shouts word salad as they put it.
Yeah, just says gibberish and makes very serious faces like he's casting spells.
Right. The idea, yeah. So the idea is all these people were just created by the government. We're not. It's kind of unclear what some of their powers are because they've just been driven mad. And so like the bit is so the persecutor is in this asylum. We learn that James Woods, I forget the actual character's name,
is the police king. He's the king of the police. McGinley or McGee is what it says on his desk, which is very funny.
Right.
But it's like McGinley
Director
or
McGee.
Mc something. I forget.
Yeah. So there's a backstory here where the persecutor used to teach the army how to torture people under the idea of like, this is about resisting torture, but he was clearly just teaching how to torture people. Marshal Law was one of his students and stood up against him because he was using real people to demonstrate the torturing. So he demonstrated on Marshal Law instead. And the James Woods lets the persecutor know who Marshal Law is, which it's interesting. He's very much. We've talked about this in the other ones. He's like a puppet master. He's like manipulating everybody.
Yeah, he kind of. It's unclear whether he wants to get rid of Marshal Law or if he would just kind of be fine with it if Marshal Law was gone.
Yeah, I think it's like he's trying to think about the city in general.
Yeah, he's
a
big picture guy
that he wants to spin.
Yeah.
And so Marshal Law is coming for him in this asylum,
right?
To take him in.
Yeah, because the idea is that persecutor is trying to claim he's insane, but he's not really, in order to avoid what he will certainly be executed for his crimes. So he's trying to basically get sanctuary in Avengers Tower, which is an institution. Right,
and weirdly enough, was he allowed to have guns?
No, he takes one from a guard.
Got it. Yeah, because what happens is they start rejecting him.
Yeah, because they're like, well, you don't have powers, which means you weren't driven insane by any sort of experimentation that was beyond your control or beyond the purview of what you initially agreed to. You're just kind of like a deranged person who loves to torture people.
Right,
so
and I love that
you can't be here.
He's like, but my family was killed. How is that not a power? Like, he kind of phrases it that way, of like he has a superhero origin. Right, origin.
And he's insisting. It's an interesting spin on that narrative too. And the second comic kind of follows up on this as well, which is interesting that we happen to pair them because they weren't released together.
Right, but they do. Yeah, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, he's talking. He's refusing to accept any responsibility for what he's done because he's like, well, I was driven to it because my family was killed. It's like, yeah, but you were already torturing people to death before your family was killed by like the people you were brutalizing. Yeah, it was consequences of your actions.
Yeah, it's about the idea of like a character like Batman, or I guess the Punisher.
The Punisher, yeah.
Using a horrific murder of their family to absolve themselves
Yes.
from the crimes they do.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm the victim. I'm just getting revenge.
Like,
And it's
no, you're not.
people have people killed all the time. You know, they don't go on rampages. So yeah, they're using that as the commentary for this character who grabs a gun and starts to escape, which makes the Avengers be like, should we also escape?
Yeah, they just kind of bust out in the chaos, and it's very funny.
It's very funny. Their fate
is
very funny.
It's a little bit like that movie, The Dream Team, where it's Michael Keaton, Peter Boyle, and a few other actors who I regrettably can't remember. They're all in the same group in a mental hospital, and their doctor takes them out to a baseball game. Hijinks happen. Their doctor gets, I think, taken out during an attempted armed robbery. So they're basically just kind of wandering around on their own in the city, and they don't really have the capacity to really understand what's happening as they're being pursued by criminals. So it's a little bit, it's kind of like that, where it's like,
right.
It's like
for sure.
like a dog with two tails instead of, I don't know, just trying to lead itself. It's kind of funny.
Oh, it is. And then we meet the Human Inferno, which the art for the Human Inferno was amazing.
Yeah.
And it's very much Venture Brothers, where he's locked in this case, and Marshall sees him and assumes this man needs help.
Right.
When the realization is he'll explode into flames if he lets him out, which he does.
Yeah.
And the Human Inferno just wants to die.
Right. He just wants to be extinguished. So he ruins this water tower or tank to try to put himself out. Like his thread in this comic. He's just a guy that's on fire. Like that's his only want. He's like, I gotta get put out. So he smashes this water tower and floods the building, which sends the Avengers out into the sky.
He has a very simple desires.
And so he's falling in this water off the tower, and he's like, well, even if the water's not putting me out, but even if the fall kills me, at least I'll be free of this agony. And then he hits the ground, and not only does the water not put him out, but he's still alive and he's still on fire. So he's just like, no.
It's incredible. Meanwhile, they do this wonderful couple of panels where the Avengers are falling, and they go into everybody's head, and they all justify how they're going to survive the fall. There's an Ant-Man, and he's like, ooh, there's a group of termites waiting for me down there. Captain America is like, I'm going to use my shield. Like the magic, the Doctor Strange is like, I'll do a spell and open up a portal.
Yeah, Hawkeye is like, it's like, I'm going to shoot my invisible safety line arrow. And like Thor, and it's just like, I'm going to ride the Bifrost to Heimdall.
And then they all just
They just hit the pavement.
It's very much the nice guys aim for the bushes.
There wasn't even an awning there.
It's wonderful. It's very funny because it's just it's perfect.
They all just hit the pavement, except for Spider-Man. Yeah. Spider-Man's not there.
Yeah, Spider-Man's not there. He
just escaped.
Yeah,
the world is a better place for it.
He's just webbing people.
He's like sipping around, wearing a dancer's belt, just spraying his webs all over Manhattan. That's all he wants to do.
Wonderful. And then in all this, Marshal Law gets his man, the Persecutor, and sets him loose with like a bunch of cannibals on the street who cook him over the Human Inferno.
Yeah, they roast him on a spit over the Human Inferno. And the Human
Which
Inferno,
is very funny.
The very last panel is them spit roasting Persecutor over Inferno. And he's just like, no, my powers were not meant to be abused like this. It's very funny.
Oh, poor guy. It's one of those where it's so tragic that it's funny.
Yeah. So his life is a never-ending nightmare, and it's all he wants is for it to end.
Yeah. It's, again, going back to Venture Brothers, it reminds me of the Ghost Pirate, where every time they see him, he's like, and then they realize that's all he's doing is just screaming. He doesn't have any desires. He's just screaming.
Yeah, at the
Oh, it's
endless
so good.
existential horror of it all.
So fucking good.
Yeah, we established in the original 6-issue miniseries, which we covered in the previous 2 episodes. Like there's like wasteland mutants that are it's this future is a mix of a lot of things, including like roaming gangs of crazed superheroes and wasteland mutants and stuff. So there's like cannibal mutants around.
So compared to that series, I like this one way better because the first 6 issues kind of took itself too seriously, in my opinion.
Very, very self-serious to the point.
Yeah.
We talked about it in those first 2 episodes where I really wrestled with how much I enjoyed it because it was hard to tell how much was intentional.
Right. And this very much is like,
the intent here is very clear. Yeah, like Marshal Law is kind of ridiculous in this. Like his monologue is very self-important, but like funnily so.
Right. They do a bit at the beginning, or when they all escape, where they're like, we need to lock down anybody in a mask. And then you see Marshal Law whistling and walking in.
Yeah.
They grab him. Yeah, and he's kind of a fool. Like, he lets out the Human Inferno.
Yeah, and his inner monologue narration is very goofy. Like it's self-important in a funny way. So
it does make sense because you look at anything like, you look at the first season of The Simpsons and you go, oh, they didn't quite know what they were doing yet. Like it's the same element here. Is I feel like they were honing it in, and this one they very much were. They figured out, how to pull this off. And yeah, this is just very strong, very funny.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. I don't have too much more to say about it, so we could get into the next comic.
Yeah, honestly, we can move into the next one.
We definitely want to.
Oh, go ahead.
We have a section where we're going to cast it, so we should think about that.
Oh man, that's going to be tough because there's a lot of characters.
Yeah, I would say like
let's just stick with the main ones. We'll try to keep it
simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the next one is called Kingdom of the Blind, and it's a combo. I would say it's Batman and Daredevil, right?
To an extent, but it's like 98% Batman. Like, because Daredevil was...
He has the Daredevil's powers, basically.
Kind of, sort of.
Like,
yeah.
Sort of.
Daredevil was also sort of represented in the Avengers, if you remember. He's
You're
one of
right.
the guys falling off the water tower. It's like, my sonar hearing has detected that flagpole, and he tries to grab it, and both of his arms just get ripped off by the force of the water.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah. This one I had a question about
Sure.
that we'll get to. But it's mainly Batman.
It's primarily Batman.
Private Eye, so that's very Batman. He's a superhero who drives around in a car with a big eye. He's
a billionaire philanthropist. His parents were wealthy, famous doctors who were murdered in front of him in a random act of street violence.
Outside a video rental shop, which I don't know why, but I found that very funny.
Yeah.
And so he's wealthy, and the thing I had a question about is the arc in this is Marshal Law likes him.
Yes.
At the beginning, and I'm not quite sure why.
Marshal Law, I think the idea is he thinks they're the same guy, basically. Like, he feels that Private Eye is a kindred spirit, because what Private Eye is doing is... Well, I mean, he's still basically just a vigilante. So I think
that's what I mean. Is like it didn't quite make sense to me.
Yeah.
His line is, because this, I really like this because this is just, again, all the commentaries on these characters decades before we were doing them. The line from Private Eye, I vowed I won't sink to their level. I'll maim, mutilate, electrocute, gas, or burn them, but I won't kill them.
Yep.
And it's very much Batman.
I think it's this. I think it's Marshal Law obviously still detests crime and criminality. Like, he will bust criminals as well as superheroes. Right. But I think it's sort of like an extrapolation of the idea of Batman, who's not. I mean, obviously he is a superhero, but like within the world of DC Comics, he's not really
like an anti.
Like, he's kind of out. Yeah, he's outside. He doesn't do it for like he's not the same as like the public spirit. He's not doing this for publicity. He's not doing it to be like adored by people. He's getting down and dirty in the gutter and being brutal towards criminals because he feels like that's the way to solve it. So Marshal Law like connects with that idea because he's very brutal himself.
Yeah, he's cutting off their fingers and arms and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's just mutilating them as like punishments for their crime.
Yeah.
As he says, he's turning them into the victims.
Yes.
And therefore rehabilitating them.
Mm-hmm. In his view, yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely comes into play. So the thing they address in the previous one, because there is a thread throughout these, which is that Marshal Law has a complex where he's obsessed with hating superheroes. And he keeps saying, I've never actually met one, right? Or he's never actually caught a superhero, which his implication is that they're not heroes. They're villains.
That's the implication, yeah.
But he hates, but at the same time, he hates being called a superhero himself. And he kind of is one, but that's the whole point. The whole point is no one should be called a superhero because everybody's flawed. And the moment you start acting like, oh, I'm a superhero, that's when you become...
Right, you start to excuse a lot of your own behavior and yeah.
Yeah. So it's this whole cycle. So it's just interesting that he would look at Private Eye and he's just like, yeah, I like that guy. And I get it because he likes his style.
Yeah, he likes what he's doing. Yeah,
he's
like, yeah, that speaks to me.
He has a car that runs people over and then stabs them
over with scalpels. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the reveal, though, that I guess Marshal Law doesn't realize is that he's just burning through orphans.
There's a couple of levels of it. So they make a joke about how, like, he's the main difference. Well, I mean, there's a lot, but like the main difference in the way that the Private Eye is presented as opposed to how Batman is presented is like his identity is not really secret. Like, kind of everybody knows he's Bruce Wayne. Right. So he'll make appearances as Bruce Wayne, but he's talking about Private Eye stuff. So he's going to this orphanage where his family that he endowed and his family has given lots of money to over the years, which is very similar to like the Wayne Foundation. Right. And they make a gag about how like he's gone through his last 6 wards, which is always like a joke to make about Batman. It's like, man, how many kids is he going through? And then of course we discover that he's having these kids at the orphanage be trained to be his sidekick, but they start to, unveil sinister layers of it as he's talking to the nuns there. We learn that they're like sterilizing the kids.
Yeah.
Like medically sterilizing them, or chemically rather. And he's doing it because he's making his own organ farm for himself and his wealthy friends.
They're blood boys.
They're blood boys, yeah.
Yeah, the kid describes his beaver dream, which was it was just like, Jesus Christ. Dreaming about a beaver chewing the base of a tree as the tree gets bigger and bigger.
Yep. That's another important thing that doesn't come in until like the last couple of panels before spoilers. Private Eye is brutally killed.
Yeah.
Is that Private Eye is sexually repressed, like willfully so. Mm-hmm. He's one of those. It's become popular in extreme far right circles again, but he's one of those maniacs who believes in like being celibate because it like stores all of his power and energy. He doesn't want to give it away on meaningless interactions. So that sexual repression comes in at the very end, where we learn like he's viewing what he's doing as sexual, like it's sexual violence for him. Like that's how he's how he thinks about it. Yeah.
And again, these are great details because it's basically the whole deal is that superheroes in this world, they're just pointing out they're just serial killers.
Yeah, they're just maniacs.
And they all have a pathology like any other serial killer. There's like weird patterns.
And my favorite reveal is that in this version, he killed his parents. Like he had Alfred show up in the alley behind the fucking adult video store that they were renting videos at. And kill his parents for him. And then he delivers the death blow to his dad. So that he hates them because his parents were also maniacs. Like they were doctors, but they were performing just insane research. Like they were just doing cruel things to animals just for the sake of cruelty. And then they would start experimenting on him too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he killed them for that. And then also for their money.
Right. and for the justification for going out and beating people up,
right,
and maiming them.
Yeah, because it provides him with this narrative, and he says a few times to his dad's photo and then later his corpse, because he keeps his parents in this pretty grim mausoleum.
Yeah,
where he's like, "Thank you, Dad, for like dying the way you did, because it gave me an excuse to be the biggest bastard I can be," is basically what he says.
Yeah, I feel like unlike the previous one, the Persecutor, he's more self-aware.
He's more self-aware, for sure. He is aware that this is all a fabrication and a sham, and like he knows he's like a fucked up maniac.
Yeah.
But there's still an element where he still kind of believes in what he's doing. But he is more self-aware than Persecutor, for sure. Yeah.
And so like basically Marshal Law's the spell is broken when he sadly kills Kiloton.
He does. We haven't talked
Kiloton.
about him this episode, but if you listen to the previous two, Kiloton is kind of like his guy in the van. He's one of his fellow vigilantes who works for the cops now, busting other superheroes. And Kiloton from the beginning is like, no, this Private Eye is fucking dirty. Like, I don't understand why you like this guy. Like, he's just like the rest of them. And Marshal Law kind of drags his feet. And then Kiloton finds the evidence of his organ farm at the Wayne family slaughterhouse, basically. I think his name is Brennan in this, but it's basically Wayne. With all the boys hanging on meat hooks.
Right.
And then Private Eye shows up and kills him.
Yeah. And it's, I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
and
me either. Yeah, it was a legitimate surprise. Yeah, because we hadn't really seen Kiloton do too much. So I was like, oh, they're probably setting him up for other stories. Nope. He just gets taken out.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
And then, of course, they fight. And I really like when he's over the meat grinder, Private Eye.
Oh, yeah.
And he's hanging there, and Marshal Law is like, I better save him. And then he stands there like 5 feet away and just goes, take my hand. And my Private Eye is like, what? I can't.
I can't reach you. He's like, oh, what a bummer. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, I better save him. Oh, hold on. I need to stop and wipe my nose. All right, reach out, man. Reach, man. You can do it. And then he falls into the meat grinder and just gets fucking pulverized.
That was great.
And then Marshal Law's like, oh, no, I was too slow.
Yeah. I liked it because you really think like they did this whole thing where he admired him before. Where I was like, oh, he actually is going to save him.
No, he's
and
so...
Then, nope.
I actually liked, in terms of like a continuing thread of this character, and I really enjoyed these two one-shots more than I did the original miniseries, because I think this has a firmer grasp and the intent is a little more clear. But like, it's a good job of kind of demonstrating his own, Marshal Law's own sort of pathology, which is he's absolute. So like once his mind switches, like once he realizes that Private Eye, oh, he's just another superhero, then that's it. There's no feeling left in him for that guy. Like he's like, nope, you're a bad guy.
Yeah. Once he decides to kill you, it's done.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that too. And this was
he's very much
another delightful little tale.
Yeah, he's becoming more clearly Butcher, basically, from The Boys. If you watch The Boys, he's pretty much Carl Urban. Yeah,
and Carl Urban has his flaws too, which I like.
For sure.
I like that it's whenever a character is dealing with absolutes, they're a pain in the ass.
You're usually wrong. Can't, like, that's another, like the I don't think the book is really, it's very satirical and very funny, especially in these two one-shots, but like it doesn't feel like the writers are trying to excuse his worldview either. Like, he is correctly identifying that superheroes are bullshit and this system of power is bullshit, but like he's not correct either, This is one of those situations where there's really no heroes here, and sometimes that makes something hard to like watch or read. In this case, Marshal Law is entertaining enough. Yeah, he's very he's very fun.
Yeah,
less edgelordy than he was in the original miniseries.
Yeah, going back to the Venture Brothers, there's kind of no heroes in that show either. Like Dr. Venture isn't a good guy.
No,
it's just fucked up people. And so like this is very similar, where what they're doing is entertaining, but it's definitely not. They've kind of I feel like they stepped away from trying to make it emotional. Like, oh no. Like,
yeah, I think
my girlfriend died. Like, it's just more like kind of just fun.
Yeah, and that's not to dismiss what the original 6-issue miniseries did well, because I think we were both a little surprised at how effectively it sort of got an idea across, and it was very emotional, and it was effective and successful in a lot of ways. So not to diminish any of that, but like I think these two are less up their own ass, a little less,
for sure.
a little less self-important, and a little more. It just feels like they have a firmer grasp of their own intent on these books, and it's just fun.
I'm very curious where it's going to go. I know there's like a zombie comic.
The next one is a zombie. Yeah, I think the Mask shows up at some point.
Okay, yeah, because they're burning through heroes to parody.
Oh, that's the beauty is
died.
The beauty is there's so many of them.
There's so many. But I loved this is how, like the previous one, how they treated the Avengers. Because at first I was like, okay, they're going to get out, and then this is going to be a whole like storyline. And then it was like, oh, perfect. They're just flash in a pan. They're here and gone, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it for the Avengers. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was very, very funny.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it all built up to that last scene of them riding a wave out of a skyscraper.
It's so good. Yeah, I think these one shots also work better because they're just we don't need 6 issues to deal with a lot of this stuff.
A lot of these ideas, they're pretty.
Yeah, and so
yeah,
the first one felt like kind of almost like stretched out a little bit. I don't know.
A little. I do.
It was still good.
It was still mostly good. Yeah, there was problems with it. A lot of it related to the time in which it was written. We talked about that in the previous 2 episodes. But yeah, not to diminish that original miniseries.
Not at all, but I definitely like these better.
Same, yeah. These were a lot more fun to read.
Yeah, and they're still dealing with
the same themes. It's just it's not that complicated of a theme. Honestly, you can say complicated things about it, but like the general idea, like I said at the beginning, like the adage is like a trite, like it's trite almost.
Yeah,
we hear it so often, so it's not a difficult concept to wrap your mind around. So it's just let's have some fun with it.
It's a combination. It's the one thing The Boys doesn't do, at least not to my memory, is the thing that they add into this is the body horror element, which is like it's also just horrifying to be a superhero.
No, they do it. They do it with the Deep.
Oh yeah, the Deep, I would say, with the gills.
It's not as extreme as it has been in Marshal Law, but I mean, The Boys is only done 2 seasons, so who knows where they'll go from here.
For sure. But yeah, it's like these people they're monsters.
Yeah,
and you feel bad for them, but they're also terrible people.
They're also like some of them are just like forces of nature at this point, where it's like beyond their control almost. They're so I liked that how much contempt the Brennan Bruce Wayne character has for the people he's supposed to be. Like they show a scene of his parents. One of the things they did to him was give him just a lavish Christmas morning, and then invited all the kids from the orphanage over and made him give all of his toys away to these kids. And, he threw a huge tantrum over it. And that was like more of a formative moment for him than his parents' death. Like that's crime alley for this version of Batman. Like we're introduced to him where he talks about having a dream of living inside a bubble and these people trying to get inside and steal his wealth. He's doing this all to defend his wealth.
Yeah, the parents have designed a person to be evil.
Yeah.
I love how the parents, it's just everything is clinical to them.
Yeah.
Like they're just complete sociopaths.
Yeah.
And their experiments are just stating the obvious.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it turns out if you hit a chimpanzee with a bat, it gets irritated. Like it's stuff like that. Like, oh, you sew a kitten's eyes shut, it can't see anymore. They're just mad scientists.
Yeah.
No purpose behind what they're doing beyond we're mad scientists.
Yeah. You want to talk about casting now?
Yeah, I think so. We already cast Marshal Law, I think, in the previous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've probably talked about Carl Urban because that's obvious.
Yeah, Carl Urban. I think we also said Lakeith Stanfield.
The event, it's hard because I'm just like, I just want the actors.
It would be so funny to see, like Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans and fucking Paul Rudd and Jeremy Renner doing all.
It's so obvious, but it's like, I don't know what else. I don't know who else it would be. Even the Persecutor, it would be what's his name as the Punisher.
John Bernthal.
Yeah, John Bernthal.
It could be. I mean, you have a few options for Punisher.
That's true.
Yeah, I got a vibe from the way he was drawn, and now I can't quite put my finger on it.
He looks he has a fucking
he has a swastika on his head, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Like that's
So
that's also like his part of his storyline that we didn't really mention is the idea that he's supposed to be like a proxy for America and how America behaves geopolitically, because he's like, well, he keeps saying like the things I did weren't crimes because the CIA does them. I was sanctioned by the government. And it's like, well, no, they were still crimes. It's just America doesn't call them crimes because America does it. It's only crimes when other countries do it. Yeah. So it's all he's a commentary on military and how America excuses its own egregious behavior that it punishes or vilifies other regimes for doing. And it's all bad. Like, they're all crimes.
Right.
It's just... Anyway, so that's very on the nose about, like, he is just a fascist. And the United States engages in fascism when it does these, what it calls enhanced interrogation. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very much like... I mean, for obvious reasons, you think of someone like John Cena.
Cena would work.
Yeah, it's got to be a white guy for obvious reasons that he's a swastika on his head.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg, is that too on the nose?
I think Mark Wahlberg would work. He kind of looks like him.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of people who look like him. I think almost a little older, but now I realize Mark Wahlberg's
like
a
50.
Little older.
Yeah, he's almost 50.
Yeah, like because they have to have a history.
Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be older than Marshal Law, so.
Yeah, I could see. Yes, around the 50 range. I think that would work. What about Private Eye?
That's the interesting one, and that's, not the only interesting one, but that was the one that I was really trying to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we also didn't mention, I fucking loved this detail, that his bat cave is this big tower in the middle of the city, and he protected its secret by entombing all of the workers that built it. But he keeps Alfred in his tower like a little prisoner, like the man in the iron mask.
Right.
And every time he shows up in the Batcave, Alfred tries to kill him. And it's just like part of, like, it's understood between them that I'm going to show up here and Alfred's going to try to kill me. And it's a way to keep me on my toes.
Right, because the other thing is he blackmailed Alfred.
Yeah, he's blackmailing Alfred.
Yeah. So Alfred is like way too old to be serving him, but he's a prisoner, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like he's gonna work Alfred to death. That's the
Alfred is like 92.
Yeah,
it's very funny.
That's pretty great. Yeah, Private Eye is hard. I'm trying to remember what his face looked like. I mean, obviously we're going for Batman. So
he's kind of fake ass Handsome McGee. He looks a little.
You know who might be fun? I don't know if we brought him up already. Is Chris Pine?
Chris Pine, I was thinking he looks a little like Taylor Kitsch.
Taylor Kitsch would be fun.
He's supposed to be 50, but obviously he keeps rejuvenating himself with his Blood Boys.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like Christian Bale, like it's...
Yeah, it could be Christian. It could be Christian Bale. He kind of looks like him, yeah.
Yeah, and again, Christian Bale has played both Batman and a sociopath.
Right, it's very Patrick Bateman, yeah. It's and yeah, I mean, I hate that we keep saying it, but it is like sort of like one of the big points of the book, but like he also kind of has to be a white guy.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that because of the point of
the character and what he's representing. Yeah,
he's representing rich white men, and so it's like, well, like it's not. That's just that's what you got to do. You got to cast it as a rich white guy.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. And so I do think any of the Batmans, I guess.
I would say that along those lines, Persecutor kind of doesn't need to be a white dude as much as Private Eye does. Like you could adjust that interpretation, still get the same
Persecutor?
point. Yeah.
Oh yeah, a younger Denzel, but I always want just Denzel
Right, of
across
course,
the board.
like across the board. But anyway, like you could cast like Michael B. Jordan. Well,
Right,
Michael B.
'cause-
Jordan's a little too young, but yeah,
This is a weird thing to say. The swastika doesn't come into play.
not really. It's just meant to
Yeah.
like get further drive the point home that he is a fascist.
Yeah, it's like a Charles Manson swastika, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a show swastika.
Yeah, which I
So,
don't
yeah.
know, not to downplay a swastika.
No.
Yeah, it's but yeah,
So that you could cast
It's really
somebody, you could cast somebody like Idris Elba as that guy. Or
yeah, Idris Elba is too charismatic in my opinion for the Persecutor.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I can see it. I can see that because his performance actually in Suicide Squad, I can kind of see something like that. That would be interesting.
Bruce Willis.
Brillis. Oh God, yeah.
Because it's kind of similar
A
to his
little
character
bit-
from The Siege.
Yeah, I would say Bruce Willis like 15 years ago.
Right. Brillis is a little too old now, but like a Bruce Willis
Yeah.
type.
Yeah, a Bruce Willis type. That would really work. Anybody like, yeah, fucking Steven Seagal type. Like anybody that's like an old action star almost. Not Schwarzenegger. Maybe Stallone, but probably not Stallone. Stallone's
They're both kind of too old.
yeah, they're too old,
They're
but
both
even
in
when they
their
were young,
70s.
it's like it's more of like a Jason Statham body type, you know? Mm-hmm. Although I don't think Jason Statham would be good for it.
No, he's yeah, I think you're right.
He's too British. He can't not be British. I dare you to tell Jason Statham to do an American accent. See what happens.
Man, we probably should have thought about casting before we started recording.
I don't know. I did that last time, and now I'm kind of like I like brainstorming.
Yeah.
It's fine. Private Eye. It's the problem with casting a lot of these is we're just like, yeah, can I just do the person that would be cast as the hero version? Like Private Eye, I keep saying like, yeah, any of the Batman, and it's like, yeah, you're just casting Batman. That's essentially what's happening here.
Yeah, I think Chris Pine would probably be pretty funny as the Captain America stand-in.
Ooh,
if
yeah.
you didn't get Chris Evans to do it.
That would be really good. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Chris Pine is good at comedy. He never gets to do it, though.
Yeah, not very often.
No. Only in that one guy's films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Any other casting things stand out? Another thing that occurred to me is that this would probably make I think it's just because it looks the same, but this could make an Eon Flux-esque cartoon. Like you could get that same person to make this.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the visuals are exactly the same, and it's like, yeah, just animate it as is. And so that just led me to that conclusion too, is like, this doesn't even have to be live action. Like this might be a really good cartoon series.
Okay. I landed on a real dark horse candidate I'm going to throw in there to play Private Eye. Scott Adkins.
Scott Adkins.
He's a martial arts actor.
Hold on, I'm going to look him up.
He's the main character in the Universal Soldier sequel that you love so much.
Ooh, oh, I know who that guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. Let's call his people up.
Yeah, get him in here.
Yeah, what's he up to?
I don't know, making direct-to-video action movies.
No, he's in John Wick Chapter 4.
Nice.
Yeah. Things are looking up for Scott Adkins. I mean, the stuff around John Wick is still just the same stuff, but, good for him.
Here's okay, I've got a couple interesting ideas for Persecutor. Michael Shannon. or Shea Wiggum.
Wait, who's Shea Wiggum?
Shea
I know
Wiggum.
that name.
Yeah, you
too.
know him.
Hold
Probably
on.
more Michael Shannon, I think.
Oh, Shea Wiggum. I think more Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be tough because I would want. Yeah, I think that would work because Michael Shannon can also play like undignified.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so like I think that would be really good.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I really like Michael Shannon for that. That really works. That really works for me. Okay.
I think
Well,
we did
we'll call
it.
the
Yeah.
Shannon. We'll call the Shannon people. We'll work something out. Right?
Yeah. Let's work something out. Let's have our people contact his people and then get him on. We'll put him on this.
Okay. Well, until then, I think we're done.
I think that's it. I think we might have completed our task. Yeah.
I think so too. And I wasn't down on this series in the first 6, but this definitely made me go, ooh, like I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, these were
few
fun.
issues.
And if you want to read them, the books are out of print at the moment, so getting like a physical copy will be a challenge. But it's readily
There's a
available
Kindle.
on. Yeah, it's readily available on like Comixology in like digital form. So
Nice. A non-Amazon option. That's great.
Well, Comixology is an Amazon option.
Oh.
Yeah, they own it. They own it.
Okay. Well, yeah. You can figure out another.
There's probably.
whatever,
I'm sure
man.
there are other digital options, but it's available in digital. Is what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, we're not here to change the world.
No, it's readily available in non-physical formats.
Yeah, and I would say check it out, especially these issues. We'll see how it goes from here. You got to read the first 6, obviously, to know the world, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't mind seeing a.
It is very efficient world building, I will say.
Yeah,
It's very good at it. Yeah.
It's very grim. I will say it's very gory. It's very like Mars Attacks, like style gore and like viscera. And so if you're not into that, you're not into that. But it's I don't know, very solid, liking it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mind Freak 555.
Mind Freak.
Mind Freak from the
Mind
555 family. Thank you so much, and thank you all for listening.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Kooks.
And if you're interested, you can hit up our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. If you go on there, there's exclusive podcasts. For $5 a month, you get access to Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. We also watch movies with our patrons every Friday night for $10 a month. And, we have like custom We Just Watched episodes, custom podcasts that you can commission, all sorts of stuff on there. So you also, I think we give away mugs. That's just sort of like an automatic thing that happens.
Oh, we do? Oh,
through
yeah, that's right.
Patreon?
It's one of the tiers. That's right.
Yeah. A Sheev mug. That's available.
So you get a
yeah,
Sheev
check
mug.
that out. Yeah.
We should take a look
I think
at
that's.
that.
Yeah, I think that's for the Hypecast shout out. That's one of our tiers
I think that's for the Hypecast tier.
as
All right.
Well,
We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can get a link to our Teespring store, where you can find all kinds of cool original artwork and designs on T-shirts, stickers, posters, mugs, and all kinds of other things. So check that out.
yeah.
All right.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Are we done?
Bye.
Okay. Bye.